Hello, Philly weather peeps. This is Sean with Bread and Milk, just giving you an update on the storm coming to us tomorrow into Saturday. So why is the storm so difficult to forecast? There's multiple components, multiple pieces of energy that are predicted to meet up or phase over the southeastern United States. The challenge is when that phase occurs and exactly where, and will dictate how close the low pressure gets to the coast. And that's been a challenge. It's been bouncing all over the place. Here we have one piece of energy here. This is our southern stream. And up here in Canada, dropping down right here, is what's known as our northern stream. I'll put this into motion, so just watch this area and this area here. You can see here we are on Friday lunchtime. The southern stream is a little stretched out, but it's down here, and we have this northern stream energy diving down. This is a great sign. This is how most of our big storms have occurred, when we have energy dropping down in to meet a southern stream energy, and this phasing is what helps a storm develop and rapidly intensify off the coast. Like I said, though, how quickly this occurs, how far west or east this occurs will dictate how close or far away the low pressure is to the coast. So when we start here, this is Friday around 5 or 6 p.m. And you can see that the tilt of this trough. See how this trough is digging down into the east here? And what I mean by tilt is if you drew a line through the lowest point of each of these lines, you would have what's called a positive tilt. In other words, the higher portion, the more northern portion, is farther to the east than the southern portion. So if you can imagine a line here. Now what we want to see is this go from positive tilt to negative tilt. The sooner that happens, the height lines are, this is basically the flow in the upper atmosphere that's essentially the wind in the sails for the low pressure. So I put this a couple of ticks ahead, and you can see how now it went from a positive tilt to a negative tilt. See how if you drew lines to the lowest point in each of these lines, you would have from the northwest to the southeast. And as a result, these height lines, if it just kind of keep these in mind, if I go back a little bit, see how right now, earlier on Friday, you have basically from the southwest to the northeast. If there was a low pressure, it would simply go right out to sea innocently. But when these two pieces of energy phase, boom, all of a sudden you go from southwest to northeast to almost south to due north. And as a result, the low pressure will be right ahead of the base of this phase trough, and it'll generally follow these height lines. So imagine if this phasing, this negative tilt occurred a couple hundred miles to the west. Now your low pressure will be a lot closer to the coast and pulling closer to Philadelphia. Precipitation would come with it. In this case, and it's been pretty steady on the American model, the low pressure stays far offshore, too far for us to get a significant snowfall, and hits New England. Because as you'll see here in a second, you can see how it closes here. There's a circle, basically, it's right over top of the surface low, and it's captured, which helps it stall out and just throw back a lot of precipitation for southern New England. But again, by this point, it is well too far to the east for Philadelphia. We are pretty much wrapping up whatever storm we had. So first we look at the upper levels. Let's look at the surface. So here's that trough that we saw in the upper levels. You can kind of follow these blue lines. And here's the surface low pressure. It's kind of waiting for the trough to come and pick it up, which it does. So the trough gets closer. But until it goes negative tilt, which is starting to here, the low pressure essentially is getting pushed out to sea by the trough that's coming in. So you'll see the track that it takes from what is typically a good spot for us. If this went from off the South Carolina coast, basically right up the coast, it would throw all the precipitation back into the cold sector. Plenty cold for snow. We're going to be in the teens and 20s. All the way to the coast, it'll be cold enough for snow. No rain or mix expected whatsoever. But as a result of the trough taking a little bit longer to phase the energy and go negative tilt, the initial motion of the low pressure is off the coast to the northeast. So you see we get some snowfall based on the American model, the GFS model, back to New Jersey. Maybe it gets into Philadelphia a little bit. But the brunt of the storm, when it closes off, will be over New England. You can see the difference in the darkness of, the darker the blue, the heavier the snow. You can see how it increases the farther north you go. This is my concern all along. This is a late blooming system, and we're relying on the phasing of northern stream and southern stream energy to tilt the trough negative as soon as possible to be able to then pull the low pressure and associated precipitation closer to the coast. So if you think about it, most of our big storms, you have this blob of snow that's developing in the southeast, moving basically due north or north-northeast to us. It's pretty hard to miss Philadelphia when it's coming up from the south. What we're relying on is for precipitation from the ocean to come back onshore. It's a difficult thing to do when the entire trough is moving from west to east as the storm is forming. So what we need for Philadelphia to get more snow is for an earlier phase and for a negative tilt to occur farther to the west. And right now, the GFS has been steadfast, very consistent on an offshore track and very little snow for Philadelphia. Now the shore, every single computer model is showing snow for the shore, for southern New Jersey, coastal Delaware. And since it's going to be cold enough for all snow, it's going to be probably the highest totals down there. For areas from the city north and west, how do we get a better snowfall? Well, we need it. Like I said, that has to occur. Now, there's other computer models, and I'll show you in a sec, just for a comparison's sake, that are showing the storm to be closer than the GFS. Let's take a look at those. So I zoomed into the northeast here again. Here's the GFS depiction of the surface low and precipitation. So you can see Philadelphia right here. It's not even snowing. And this is at the brunt of the storm, supposedly. But if we switch over to a different version of an American model, a different model, you can see the snow does get to Philadelphia. Now, the western edge, with all this bone-dry air coming down from Canada with the high pressure, so this western edge might not even be reaching the ground. So it's really a precarious place to be for snow lovers, is on this western fringe in a storm like this. If I show you the German model, yes, that does exist. Similar depiction to that higher resolution American model. If we take a look at the Canadian model, and you can see the precipitation is thrown back a little bit farther to the west. And the reason for this, without looking at the upper level maps with you, is that they are phasing the energy a little bit sooner and allowing the trough to go negative tilt sooner. So that's why it's almost, it's impossible for weather forecasters to know with certainty when those pieces of energy are going to phase. A simple 50-mile shift to the east will push the storm 50 miles to the east. And therefore, areas like Lancaster, Westchester, Reading, Chester, Montgomery, Bucks that are hoping to see snow would therefore be out of the snow completely. Now, what I expect at this point, north and west of the city, 1 to 3 inches, maybe 4 closer to the city, 2 to 4 or 5 inches in the city and western New Jersey, and then in Delaware on the beaches to the beaches of Jersey, you're going to be getting the brunt of the storm, anywhere from, on the low end, 5 to 10 inches, potentially up to a foot if the storm comes close enough. Keep in mind, this is going to be teens and 20s. The wind will be cranking. It's going to be a dry, fluffy snow. It's going to be blowing around. It's going to feel like winter, that's for sure. So, again, keep in mind, I will update you on the Facebook page, which let me take you to that. Make sure to like and subscribe to the YouTube page here and go over to Facebook for more regular updates on the storm as we draw near. It's Bread and Milk on Facebook. Hope to see you there. Thank you.